Hi guys, how you doing? Adam Wallace here with you again today, part 2 of the Idiot's Guide to Flying the Airbus X, extended from Aerosoft. Today is video number 2, which is titled, of course, as you can see by the title of the video, Engine Start and Departure, which is precisely what this video is going to bring today. So we carry ourselves basically straight off of the configuration that part 1 was on. If you've not watched part 1, I will leave a link in the description. I highly recommend you watch this video before, I highly recommend you watch the video before then watch this one, otherwise this video will probably make no sense. So from then, as you can see, we have got everything set. I'm just going to do a quick overview. We have the fuel pumps on, we have the APU bleed on, APU is on also. Everything's set, as you can see. Now, I want to go over this quickly. We've got a dark cockpit concept. That means if within flight, not really now because we don't have the engine started, but within flight and on the taxi phase, we don't want any lights in the overhead panel. So we want to have it. It's basically just for quickness of looking for problems. But if you look at this side, there's absolutely no lights. For example, if we seen this light within flight, we'll know we have a fault with generator 1 and 2. It's basically just for quickness, and it's for pilot ease. I like the dark cockpit concept. That's basically all you need to know for that. But let's get on to the engine start. This is why you guys are here. You've probably had a lot of the difficulty starting the engines. I'm here to help you out, guys. So from now, we're going to hit to. You want to make sure the engine start masters are off. I don't know why that was on there, but we'll hit ignition start. And you'll see with ignition start that we get the dials showing. So that's what you want. So there we go. And if you watch, there we go. So from then we want to start number 2. So let me go. I'm going to start the pushback. I don't have GSX, so it's going to be just a straight pushback. I do apologise. And you will see the N2 increasing, and all that good stuff. You'll see a gradual rotation of the N1, which is what we want. Exhaust gas temperature should begin to increase, and fuel flow should increase once we put fuel into the engines, and that does that automatically, unlike the 737 where you've got to manually raise an engine start lever. So we're just going to continually monitor the engine, make sure that everything is within limits. We want a gradual temperature increase of the oil. So you can see here, I want to watch the vibrations, make sure they are within limits, which they do look very good. And that's an engine number 2 stabilized. Sorry about that, guys. And now we are going to start engine number 1. So same process. Start number 1, and we'll see a gradual increase. Set the parking brake. Set a gradual increase in N2 and N1, and that hits to 21 N2, I believe. Fuel flow, there we go. Fuel flow increases. N1 begins to rotate at a much faster rate. Exhaust gas temperature shoots up. We want to watch the engine temperatures and oil temperatures increasing also. And there we go. And there's an engine at number 1 stabilized. So that is a successful engine start. From then, we are almost ready to taxi. So the engines have all started. As we can see here, we have absolutely no orange lights, so we can turn off the APU bleed and turn off the APU. From then, set the taxi lights to taxi, runway turn off lights on, and we are good to go, guys. Set the takeoff flaps, which is flap 1, as you can see here. And from then, we need to put the ground spoilers to retract. And that is us absolutely completed. Now, just before we taxi, there is some good practice items you can check, such as checking that the doors are closed, which you should have done before the engine start anyway, but you just want to double check. Check the hydraulic pressure. That's if it's going to let us, of course. So check the hydraulic pressure. It's not actually going to let us do it. And what you're also looking for is a takeoff config normal. If there's anything in blue, that means that you don't have anything set. not that you don't have anything, it means that you've not correctly set the aircraft for departure. So we see takeoff config normal, flaps takeoff, spoilers armed, cabin checks. We've done all that. So after that, we want to go to the after start checklist. So anti-ice is not required, ECAM status is checked, pitch trim, to performance, pitch trim's fine, and rudder trim should be set to 0, which it is, and that's the after start checklist. So from then, get the parking brake off, and this aircraft does require a bit of thrust to get the aircraft rolling. So here we go. We'll begin the taxi towards Edinburgh's runway 6, holding point Alpha 1. So here we go. So we'll turn it. Nice gentle turns. We don't want any passengers spilling their beverages. It's actually a very nice day to be flying as well, which is going to make this video a lot easier. It seems that there's always thunderstorms or some shit every time I make a video, which makes things much more difficult for me, certainly. Here are the PA systems in the background. And basically you want to make sure that you're below 10 knots on a turn, and you don't want to be above 20 knots in the taxi. You can see the speeds that you're taxiing here just on the top left of the nav display, which is if you just follow my mouse there. And there we go. I know there's no aircraft within my vicinity. However, it's good practice just to check left and right before you taxi. You don't want to cut any other pilots off. Just do the turn here. I'm going to get ready to do the before takeoff checklists. I'll do that just now. I'll do the before takeoff to line. Okay. So we want to do the flight instruments. They have been checked. You want to cross check them. You want to look at them for basically that they're displaying the same information. You want to make sure that there's no conflictions. Flap settings. We've got a flap setting of 1 with that's confirmed. V1. Our V1 speeds today are 143, 144, 146, and the flex is 47 degrees. ATC, because we're in VATSIM, we want to set our radios to 122.8 because we're on Unicom. So that's set there. And ECAM memo is set to takeoff no blue, as it is takeoff green. We are all good. So cabin crew, what you would do is you would just give them a little ping. Then you would actually set the mic selectors, however we can't do it on this aircraft. So you'll say it's cabin crew cease for departure. TCAS, want to set that to TARA. Till above. Engine mode selectors. That should have been set to normal before taxi. I did miss that one, guys, I'm sorry. And packs are set to auto. So that is basically everything set for now until we get to the holding point, in which I will test the flight controls, and then I will set the lights for departure, which I'll go through momentarily. And I'll also set the auto throttles too. As you can see, we set the throttles back to idle, and you heard that click, so we need to test the takeoff configuration again. I'll just show you how to do that in just a second. It's a very nice aircraft. It's and as you can see, and you've probably gathered by now, it's not actually that complicated. Once you get used to it, it's a very simple aircraft to fly. So now, as we're getting to our turn, when it starts slowing the aircraft down to about 10 knots for the turn. have a quick look around, check the runway, just to make sure that there's no planes on final or anything like that, which it doesn't appear to be. There we go, there's at 10 knots. It's ever so important that you maintain control when taxiing, guys, because otherwise you can make things unnecessarily difficult for yourself. Here we go, passing Alpha 3. Just verify that it is runway 6 we're going on to, which it is. Again, the turn towards Alpha 1, in which we'll stop the aircraft and set the parking brake, and we'll complete the before takeoff. There we go. Just spin her around. And it's looking very nice, I must say. Okay, so from then, stop the aircraft, set the parking brake, put line lights on, nose lights set to take off. Strobe lights on, put the auto throttle on. I'm just having a look around us, I can hear another aircraft. That's because it's behind us. So here we go. Test the takeoff config. Flight controls. You would test it on that. As you can see, they're absolutely fine. Cool. From then, just accelerate. Again, not above 10 knots. Bear in mind I have now got the auto throttle on, which is something you should do also. Just check left and right, make sure there's nothing on the runway. Which there isn't, the runway is ours. At this point we would obviously have our clearance for takeoff. Okay, make her turn towards the centre line. Then we'll accelerate down the runway. Okay. To avoid any thrust symmetry, asymmetrical thrust, I can't even speak. To avoid any asymmetrical thrust, we're going to set the throttles to about 40. Make sure that they are with each other. And there we go. We'll call set takeoff thrust. And there we go. And that's a takeoff thrust set. Oh, it should be 83.4. Okay, takeoff thrust set. We can verify indication is normal. Just pay close attention. 100 knots. There's our above our low speed projection. Now we're pointing up to our V1 speed, on which we will not be able to abort the departure. Just going down, maintain center line. V1, rotate the aircraft, nice and gentle, to about 10 degrees. We're at 15 just now, but that is fine. Verify positive climb, gear up. Gear up, put the aircraft to about 20 degrees. And that should be fine just now. Just make sure that the speed's not creeping a little bit too low. Do a quick turn. And there we go, put the nose back down to about 15 degrees. And there we go, there's a lovely departure. So at this point, bank the wings level. And I think that we can now put the autopilot on, so hit Autopilot 1 and we left click them and put them into selected mode. And there we go, and the aircraft will follow the paths. From then, put the throttles back a little bit into the climb detent, and what I was talking about in the first video, and the aircraft will then slow back down. Put the flaps up, the aircraft should start accelerating to about 250 knots. And from then, we can retract the ground spoilers and turn off the turn-off lights also. And we can just see the aircraft powering out of Edinburgh. Looks phenomenal. So at this point I'd hope to be cleared to about 170. At that point you would then set the altimeter to standard. I'll just pull it and we should begin our climb to Dean's Cross. I'm going to put, if you want to fly direct to a waypoint instead of following the whole standard instrument departure, you hit DIR, this stands for direct, and we'll go straight direct to Dean's Cross. So there we go guys, that is it. Just going to continue to follow the aircraft up. Just make sure everything's normal, make sure that they're sticking to the flight plan, make sure that the speed's okay. And that is us powering our way out of Edinburgh. And there's us passing 6,000 there, which would be the minimum that you would set the altimeter to standard, maximum sorry. You normally set your altimeter to standard pressure, which is actually 1013.25 hectopascals once you get cleared above the transition altitude. There's us making a gradual turn. And there's a nice smooth departure in the Airbus. Now one problem that is frequently spotted within flying this aircraft is that the once you depart you don't actually either set the auto throttle or you don't put the throttle levers to climb, so the aircraft will just accelerate and accelerate past 250 knots, then onto overspeed, which is a problem that I found myself with when I first started flying this aircraft. So if you look to our altitude tape, you can see that we're coming up for 10,000, so at that point we'll put the landing lights off, nose lights off, all those lights are fine, and we'll set the seatbelt signs off too. So from then we have passed the critical altitude of 10,000 feet, past the sterile flight deck phase. So from then that is pretty much the departure. We don't really need to go through anything else. However, the after takeoff, I like to go to the after takeoff checklist when passing 10,000. You can also do the 10 checks, so you would check the lights off, APU off, check the landing gear up and off, you check the air conditioning and pressure, which looks fine, and you check the flight instruments, then the seatbelt signs. Okay, so the after takeoff landing gear up, flaps are retracted, packs are on, and bar reference set standard cross checked, and that'd be the after takeoff checks. And that's pretty much it guys. That is what it is to departing and flying out this aircraft. And that's all it takes. That is absolutely all it takes. I'm going to join you back again with you in the cruise, and I'm going to go through certain things you can go through. But in the meantime guys, we do thank you for listening. I hope you've all enjoyed this rather short video today. I'll be back with you in the next video, which will be the cruise, in which we'll talk about certain things you can look out for in the cruise. Then the video after that, it will be the obviously the anticipated descent and landing. But thanks for your attention. I hope you all enjoyed the video, and have a fantastic day guys. Thank you very much.